Hello, in this video we're going to show you how to download the PolyLens Relay Virtual Appliance OVA and deploy it. This is a specialized device that runs on a customer's network, and it provides a local file cache for device software, and it also provides a reverse proxy for device provisioning requests to the cloud. The first step in the process is to go into the Lens tenant. This is the home page of my Lens tenant, and then we're going to go to the Account tab, and then we're going to go down to Manage Accounts. Click on the correct account. And then on the left side here in our menu, we should see something that says PolyLens Relay. We're going to click on that. That is going to give us a download link, and this is going to download our OVA. We're going to save off the OVA file. This is probably going to take a few minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. Okay, after we have the PolyLens Relay OVA downloaded, we're going to bring up our VMware vSphere client or vCenter client. And then we're going to do a deploy OVF template. And then we're going to select the OVA. You may see a warning pop-up window regarding parsing some of the attributes in the OVA config. You can go ahead and ignore these warnings and then click yes to continue. And we'll call this PolyLens Relay. And select my data store. We are going to do thin provision for this. And then select which network we want to put it on. Okay, this may take a few minutes to deploy, so I am going to pause the video. Okay, our OVA has completed successfully for deployment. Let's close that. And we're going to open the console. You can see everything starting up. All right, this takes us to our Lens Relay login. And I'll put our default username and password here in bold. This is for the Poly user. The first time you log in with the Poly user, it will ask you to change your password. So we will put in the current password, which is our default password. And then we will change it to something else. It's going to ask you to retype the new password. Okay, and it's going to bring us to our thin shell. This is going to bring up our EULA agreement. Click accept. And this brings into our thin shell menu. Okay, from the thin shell menu, we need to assign an IP address. So we're going to go to configure system and then configure network. And then it is set in DHCP mode by default, but we're going to go ahead and give it a static IP address. I'm going to change this to 118, and my default gateway is also 192.168.0.1. Okay, we're going to restart the network service. Okay, we're going to go back to the menu items, and then we're going to change the host name. I'm going to put in the FQDN of the Lens Relay. And then very important to configure DNS. We need to have at least one DNS server in there. And I'm also going to configure NTP. Okay, so we're going to exit our network configuration, and then we're going to go to Support Tools, and then we're going to select Test Connectivity. This is going to quickly test to see if Lens Relay is able to reach the Lens Cloud. And we may have to arrow down to see all the results from the tests. Our DNS looks good, everything is successful. So in our SSL connectivity test, the first one goes to global.azuredeviceprovisioning.net. That is an Azure service, Microsoft Azure. So we want to make sure that that certificate info shows Microsoft Corporation. And the next one goes to acr.lens.poly.com 443. That is the Azure Container Registry, also Microsoft. So again, we want to make sure also that says Microsoft Corporation. And then our Datadog, which is our logging mechanism on the Lens Relay, that also, this goes to Amazon AWS. Okay, from there we can exit the connectivity check. So now we know that our Lens Relay has an IP address and it is able to reach the Lens Cloud services. Next thing we're going to do from the Support Tools menu is go into Simple Web Server. And this URL, when we click this here and press OK, this is going to enable the Simple Web Server, and then we're going to basically access the Lens Relay using this URL. So we're going to enable that, and now we have the web server running on this URL. Okay, so we're going to bring up a browser and we're going to browse to that URL. And remember, this is HTTP, it is not HTTPS. So this will show us our PolyLens device ID. This allows us to copy that device ID. And then we have the PolyLens access key field. This allows us to paste that key into there. And this comes from the Lens portal. So going back to our Lens portal, again, we're going to go back into the account settings and then manage accounts. And then select the account. And then we're going to select PolyLens Relay. This was the same place previously that we downloaded the OVA from. And down here, we are going to register our Lens Relay. The site name, room name, and address are optional. I'm going to leave those out for now. The PolyLens device ID is what we were going to get from that URL that we browsed to. So we will use the copy key, copy that into our clipboard, and we'll paste that device ID. And then down here, PolyLens access key, we are going to generate an access key. The Lens Relay uses a symmetric key attestation. This requires pre-registration through the Lens portal, which is basically what we're doing here. And the PolyLens access key basically hashes the device ID and DPS, which is the Azure IoT device provisioning service. That is the shared secret. So let's click on Get Access Key. And there's our access key. And then again, we'll copy that to the clipboard. And then we'll come back to our Lens Relay URL. And then we'll paste that into there. And now we will submit that access key. Access key has been updated, and now the web server that we enabled through the thin shell has now been disabled. So this is a one-time operation to enable the Easy Web Server to allow this operation to copy the Lens device ID and then paste the Lens access key. So at the bottom, we will click Register Device. This is very important. Okay, and now our PolyLens Relay has been registered in our inventory. Okay, so once we have the Lens Relay registered with the cloud service, we can come back here to our VMware console. And now we're going to click on Initialize Relay. So this is basically going to start up all the services on the relay and get it to connect to the cloud. Okay, that's started up. At the bottom here, we can do Show Application Status. And we can see our services are starting to start up. This is probably going to take several minutes for all the services to come up, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. Okay, it's been approximately 5 or 6 minutes. We'll go back into the thin shell and we'll check the application status. Okay, and now we can see that all 6 of our edge services are up and running, and the lens envelope is also up and running. So this looks good. Lens relay looks like it is healthy here. Okay, so from there we're going to go back into our lens portal, and we're going to click on Manage, Inventory, and now we see our lens relay show up as a device. We're going to click on that device, and then we're going to click on Settings. And from here we can add our certificate, our PFX file. And I'm going to take my PFX file and drag it over into this window. And put in the PFX password. I'm going to click on Apply. And that is going to send our certificate to our cloud, our lens relay.